With the Switch 2 on the horizons, the likelihood of a new Super Smash Bros. Game is very likely. With that in mind comes Smash speculation, one of my favorite parts of the Smash Bros. Game cycle. With Smash 6, there's a common idea that the roster will be cut down, and I think the DLC characters of Smash Ultimate are very likely, and they're also interesting to look at to see their chances of being cut. So today, we're going to grade Ultimate's DLC based on how likely I think they are to get cut. So an A means I think they're likely to stay, very easy slam dunk pick, and an F means I think they have no chance, they will not be coming back for Smash 6. I'll be taking into account a couple of things, most of the characters' relevance in gaming, and how realizable the character would be to add. So if it's a third-party company, are they difficult to work with? How easy are they to work with? That sort of thing, and just kind of overall impact on Smash. So real quick, before the video starts, if you like this video, please drop a like down in the comments below. Also drop a comment while you're down there and hit that sub button. That would be greatly appreciated. We are a growing channel and any sub helps. So off the bat, we have Piranha Plant. I'm going to give him a D-. This one is super easy for me. Piranha Plant was the joke character of Ultimate, and although I liked the joke, not a lot of people appreciated it. There's a small argument for Plant. Like, he is a very recognizable character. He's a recognizable enemy from the Mario games, but I just don't see him making it over other Mario characters like Rosalina and Bowser Jr., and I think they're very realistic characters to get cut. So I'll give him a D-, not an F, because there's a slight chance for him to make it, I think. On to the real DLC characters here, we have Joker. Now, Joker makes a really good case to get back into Smash 6. Sega and Nintendo have a very good relationship, so that checks that box, and he's very popular in Persona 5 was a massive success. So I think a B+ fits him pretty well. There's a couple of things that could kind of get in his way. First off, there's any chance of a new Persona game. I don't know if there will be a new Persona game before Smash 6. I don't know. We don't really know when Smash 6 is going to come out or if there's a new Persona game coming out, but that could definitely get in Joker's way. But it could also be a factor of, hey, Persona 5 is just a massive game and a huge impact on gaming. It may not matter. And I also think the other thing is Sega may want some other IPs in the game, maybe like another Sonic character or something else like that, and maybe like, I'll just get Joker out of here. But I think he's got a really good chance. I'll give him a B+ for now. I think he just fits really well in the game. I think that is a W for Joker. So next we have Hero, and I'm going to give him a C+. Now there's a couple of the next DLC characters that are targeted towards specific people. When they were added into Ultimate, they were targeting specific audiences, and Hero was the Japanese audience. Now, Hero or Dragon Quest was a massive success and a massive influence on RPGs and JRPGs. Smash loves to take history into account when talking about new characters, and I think Hero has the best chance out of these kind of like legacy characters to make it back in. I also think he has the best chance to make it in out of the Square Enix DLC characters. Going on this, I'm going to talk about this with other DLC characters, but Square Enix is a massively hard company to work with. They just are super stingy with their IPs, and they just do not like giving up their IPs to other games. However, I think Hero has a decent enough chance. Cloud, I think, is basically a lock for the roster out of the Square Enix characters. I think we could probably give away one or two more characters for that Square Enix roster spot, but Hero's influence is super big. I'm going to give him a C+. Maybe that's a little low, but I do think there's a good chance that he makes it and also a chance that he doesn't. It's kind of 50-50, so I think a C+ makes that grade pretty easy for me. Next up, we have Banjo and Kazooie, and unfortunately, I'm going to give them a D. So Banjo was a great add for Ultimate's DLC. Again, going back to the thing I talked about with Hero, they appealed to one specific audience, and that was the Western audience, who absolutely really wanted Banjo in Smash. Everybody who grew up with the classic 64 games really wanted them in Smash. However, I don't think they have a great shot for returning in Smash 6. First off, Banjo is just not relevant today. He hasn't had a new game in over 15 years, and on top of that, Microsoft may want to add other IPs that they have, like Master Chief or now Doom Guy, since they own Bethesda. Both of those characters were rumored for Smash Ultimate, and I just don't see them adding Banjo over any other Microsoft character. Maybe just for the fans, but like I feel like that's kind of what Ultimate was for. It was for the fans, so I think a D grade seems pretty fair. Sorry, Banjo fans, that's just kind of how I think. Following the same track as Banjo, I have Terry Bogard next, and I'm going to also give him a D grade. I think it's kind of the same thing. He appealed to a very specific audience, South and Southern America in particular, in his popularity in arcade machines. Now, I don't think he's very relevant outside of that region. Also, kind of the same thing with Banjo. He has a very, very uphill battle to get into Smash. And also, there's other fighting game characters in Smash already. You have Ryu, Ken, and Kazuya. I think all three of those are more likely than he is. Spoiler for Kazuya in this video, but I just don't really see him making in the roster for Smash 6 unless they do some sort of a port, or I don't know. I'm not very high on the Terry train for Smash 6. Maybe I'm wrong. He was very fun to play in Smash 6, but I don't know. He's just not relevant in gaming really right now. But I could be wrong. I'm giving him the same grade as Banjo. I see it as very similar to Banjo. He gets a D tier. Now this one is really, really interesting. Byleth, I'm going to give an A-. It's crazy to think how they were the most hated Smash reveal ever, by far. But I think they have the second best chance out of all of these DLC characters to make it into Smash 6. There's two reasons for this. One, Fire Emblem Three Houses was the most successful game in the franchise, and with Fire Emblem having a huge presence in Smash, I think that helps Byleth's chances a lot. And second of all, Byleth is super easy for them to add. Nintendo property, it makes perfect sense. Only way Byleth doesn't get in is if they add a new Fire Emblem character. But again, Fire Emblem Three Houses was so big for Nintendo and the Fire Emblem franchise. They may just want Marth and then Byleth and then other Fire Emblem characters. Like, those are the two top dogs of Fire Emblem, and then everybody else, you know? So I think Byleth is super likely, kind of the modern representation of Fire Emblem, and it's a massive franchise, so it just makes a lot of sense. I'm going to give Byleth an A-. They're not super recognizable to like the average gamer, but I still think it makes sense. Now, this might be a little harsh, but I think it's kind of the reality. I'm going to give Min Min the only F out of these characters. There's just no chance for Min Min in Smash 6. There's a couple of reasons for this. First off, ARMS is a dead franchise. The game was like kind of liked when it came out for the launch year of the Switch, but after that, it just kind of fell off and died. This character seemed like, why are they a DLC character? They should have been in the base game if you really wanted them to be in the game. And a lot of people just don't like playing against Min Min in any sort of capacity, online and competitive. It just doesn't fit super well for Min Min. And she's not even the main character in her own franchise. That also is kind of like a weird caveat. So if they were to add ARMS characters back, she may not even make it back in. So I just see absolutely zero chance she gets it back in. I'm going to give her an F. Maybe it's harsh, maybe it's not correct, but I don't know. I just see that as the likelihood. Going from the lowest grade possible to the highest grade possible, there is no shot that Steve does not make it into Smash 6. Arguably the most popular video game character ever, and I think he has a better chance to make it into this game than even some Smash staples. Like, I think other than Mario, Link, DK, and Samus, he may have a better case than even Samus in this case. He is a wildly famous character. He broke the internet when he made it back into Smash, and Microsoft seems like a super easy company to work with. I think Nintendo is going to make sure Steve gets into this game. Yes, he had an annoying moveset. Yes, he kind of broke competitive Ultimate. They can fix that for Smash 6, but there is no way this widely popular of a character does not make it into Smash Bros. 6. He was super funny in the game too. So it makes perfect sense. Steve is 10,000% in Smash 6. No issues with it. Now, my bias really wants to put Sephiroth higher. I'm going to give him a C, and yes, I really like this character, but I think there's a good reason why he has a higher grade than most. Sephiroth falls under the Square Enix issue like Hero did, and I think Sephiroth has a worse chance than Hero to make it back into Smash, mostly because of Cloud. Cloud, obviously, is probably a lock for the roster, and if he doesn't make it, then no Square Enix character is making it, right? So that's kind of the issue. They're not going to add a character from the same game, let alone the same franchise. That's just kind of hard for them to do. Smash has really never done that with their third-party characters. However, I do think that there's an interesting case for the villain route for Sephiroth. There's not a lot of iconic villains in Smash Bros, and really in general. You have Bowser, who is probably the most iconic, and then you have Ganon, who might be as iconic as Sephiroth, but I'd argue Sephiroth is probably more recognizable than Ganon. But I think it's an important thing to consider when you talk about Smash Bros. And Sephiroth is super iconic as a villain. I think that bumps up his grade a little bit, but I think a C, it's kind of right down the middle, right? It's like you could see him getting back in, but you also could see him getting cut. I really want him back in the game. He wasn't my favorite character to play as, but he's just one of my favorite villains in gaming. So I'm going to give him a C grade. Hopefully he gets in, but it's not looking great. Getting down to the last three, we have Pyra and Mythra. I'm going to give them a grade of a C-. They have the big franchise problem. What I mean by that is they're just in a larger franchise of games, and they're kind of just going to get shallowed out by some of the other characters in their franchise. Obviously, Shulk's a mainstay in Smash now. He's a mainstay for Xenoblade. He's not going anywhere, but then there's a chance that they're going to add Xenoblade 3 characters into this game on top of if there's a Xenoblade 4 by the time Smash 6 comes out. That just makes their chances even worse. They're a cool group of characters to play as, unique, all that sort of thing, but I think a C- grade seems likely. They could get in if Nintendo's like, hey, we just want a bunch of Xenoblade characters in this game because they represent a corner of our business, and you know they're pretty iconic to Nintendo, but I don't really see it. I just think they're kind of unneeded at this point, but they're cool characters for what they are. But I think a C-, maybe even a D+. I'll just go with a C-. Next up, we have Kazuya, and I'm going to give him an A-. I think he's got a really good shot for Smash 6. First off, he's from a very popular fighting game, and it represents a different type of fighting game or style of fighting game that the other main fighting game in Smash Bros. Does not represent, being Street Fighter. You have the 3D with Tekken, and then you have the 2D fighting game with Street Fighter. Kind of cool to represent both of them in this case. Bandai Namco will be super easy to work with because they'll probably develop Smash 6 like they did for Ultimate in Smash 4. So getting them in the game, or getting Kazuya in the game, is going to be super easy. He's just a very popular character from a popular fighting game series that I just see kind of a no-brainer for Smash at this point. Smash is all about representation. He represents a lot of cool things for gaming, recognizable, easy to work with company. That just checks all the boxes. I'm gonna give him an A- just because he's a third-party character. He's not like as iconic as Steve or as like cool as someone like Sephiroth could be in the game, but I just think it makes sense, and I think that's kind of what we're going for here. So Kazuya gets an A-. And last but not least, we have Sora, and I'm going to give Sora a C-. I think he has the worst chance out of all the Square Enix characters. Not just because of his difficulty in getting in the game like Square Enix, but it's also they have to work with Disney. They have to do both companies. And there's just something about Sora that felt off without the extra Disney characters or Disney representation in Smash, so I don't think they're going to get that again. He has a very cool moveset, but it just feels empty. I think that it's a large hurdle to get him back into the game. Yes, he was the most popular character. Yes, he's very iconic, but it's just a giant hurdle for them to get over. I'm going to give him a C- because I think if Nintendo wants him in the game, they will get it, and they will get him in the game again, but it just seems really difficult to get Sora back into Smash Bros, man. I don't see it. I don't see the possibility, but hey, that's just my opinion. I'll give him a C- for now. You can yell at me in the comments below because I know there's a very passionate fan base with Sora. Well, I for sure made some people mad with that, but just remember, this is just my opinion. I'm just some one stupid guy on YouTube. I don't make the rules. I don't work for any of these companies. I'm just a guy who's been playing Smash Bros for 15 years and just kind of wanted to talk about this. There's a lot to consider with this, a lot of different possibilities. This is only like an eighth of the roster that I just talked about today. So I think it's just not super likely that really any of these characters are going to be like drastically taken out. I think a couple of them are pretty likely, but I think really there's a chance for all of them in some cases. If I had to pick 3 or 4, I'll just go with 4. My 4 safe bets would be Joker, Steve, Byleth, and Kazuya. I just think they're all iconic and mixed with relevance in gaming today and also Smash history and pretty easy to work with. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think that Joker should make it? Do you think that Min Min should make it? Do you think I'm stupid for even thinking that Kazuya is going to make it again? I want to hear everything and all your guys' thoughts down below. This is a super fun topic to debate. But while you're down there, make sure you hit that sub button and drop a like if you enjoy the video. And any sort of support is going to help us out. And thanks, guys.